We have 4 children, Grant, Hallie, Hudson, and Caroline. And Hudson is our 3rd child, and he was born in 2004.
He was very tender-hearted. He loved baseball and sports, played Minecraft constantly, especially in the hospital. We called him our math brain because he loved numbers and anything to do with math. And he was just a sweet kid. He loved his brother and his sisters and his friends. And most of all, I would say he had a really good relationship with Jesus and really loved the Lord by the way he lived. In 2015, in September, Hudson got very sick. And I'm a nurse, and so knowing his signs and symptoms, I knew it wasn't good. We took him to the doctor and they drew some blood, and lab results were not good. There was no diagnosis yet, but they transported us to Cook Children's immediately.
Well, I remember following the ambulance from here to Fort Worth, all the scenarios playing out. You know, obviously you go to the worst case scenario, and I think it was at that point that we decided that we could not let fear rule what was going on in our minds and our hearts. And so that's kind of where the origin of Faith Over Fear for our family came to fruition, is in that 2-hour car ride behind our son in an ambulance with so many unknowns.
It was discovered that he had what's called acute myeloid leukemia, which they have to treat more aggressively, and he would have to stay at Cook in the hospital while he was going through treatment.
The chemo treatments would last 5 to 7 days, and then he would have the rest of the month to recover. And so those were long days for him because he was just, you know, it's just frustrating. It's frustrating for an 11-year-old kid who wants to be out playing with his friends, throwing the baseball, to sit there and have to endure those transfusions and just all the side effects that come with it.
Hudson was set to go through 4 rounds of chemo. He went through 2 different rounds, and then we were told he was in remission. So there were no cancer cells showing up in his bone marrow samples that they took, which we were ecstatic. He still had 2 rounds of chemo to go through, though, just to make sure that there were no cancer cells in the rest of his body. But glad for the words remission.
We were waiting. We were already talking to the doctor about coming home, bringing him home to Abilene. The possibility of him starting school, going back to school after spring break. Most kids, you know, they'd try to take the rest of the year off. Hudson wanted to go. He wanted to get back to school. He loved school. He loved being around his friends. And remember, Hudson, he was starting to get some headaches, and so we went on into the emergency room, and they admitted him. And he woke up that next morning and he couldn't see. That kind of started a 48-hour period of MRIs, and we were moved off the 5th floor, the oncology floor, to the 2nd floor to the pediatric intensive care unit. And it was that night around midnight or so that we sat down with doctors and looked at the MRI, and they showed us the infection that was spreading. It was spreading across his brain, and that's what it had impacted his sight, and it began to impact his other functions of his body, his central nervous system, and basically we were told that he wasn't going to live. As the days, I guess, went on, we began to realize that the most important thing was that people not forget Hudson. And so we love to talk about him. We love when people come up and tell us a story that we haven't heard, or even one that we've heard 10 times. It doesn't matter. The opportunity to talk about him is important to us. We had a friend, Kyle Carni, who was an athlete at Abilene Christian, and as he got to know Hudson, he came to us with an idea about a 5K that would honor Hudson. And so Kyle, as the president of the Student Athletic Advisory Committee at ACU, took it upon himself, and they put together this first run in the fall of 2015. And so that run still exists today. It's known as the Hudson Wade 5K and honors Hudson's life and his legacy. All the money that we raise goes to the Play for Rex Foundation. That foundation, which I now serve as a board member on, we in turn use that money to help families that are going through difficult situations like ours involving pediatric cancer.
In turn, that's some way that other people can help. They can register to run the race, to show up and be there and run the race themselves, or just get a t-shirt, and still the proceeds will go to Play for Rex.
We're grateful when people participate. It honors Hudson, it honors his life, it honors his legacy, and it makes a difference. And we're thrilled to know that Hudson's life can still make a difference to other families like ours.